Professor Zelthran's xenobiology class had become something of a cultural exchange program at the Galactic Academy. Every semester, students from across the known systems would bring their companion animals to demonstrate the bond between sentient species and their domesticated creatures. The Vraxian student, Korthax, had brought a small floating jellyfish that hummed pleasant melodies. The Quillan representative showcased a fuzzy six-legged creature that could solve basic mathematical puzzles. Even the notoriously stoic Grenvik had presented a moss-like organism that changed colors based on its caretaker's emotional state. Then came Earth's turn. Jake Morrison stood at the entrance of the lecture hall, one hand gripping a reinforced leash attached to 90 pounds of pure predatory evolution. The animal beside him was all muscle, teeth, and intensity, a German shepherd named Duke, whose alert eyes scanned the room with the focus of a seasoned hunter. The classroom fell silent. Human Morrison, Professor Zelthran's translator, crackled, his three-eye stalks widening in what could only be described as horror. That is your pet?" "Yes, sir," Jake replied cheerfully, seemingly oblivious to the way half the class had instinctively moved toward the exits. "This is Duke. He's a good boy." The good boy in question had a jaw that could exert over 300 pounds of pressure per square inch. His ancestors had hunted in packs, taking down prey many times their size. Even domesticated, Duke possessed the DNA of an apex predator that had terrorized Earth's ecosystems for millennia. "Human Morrison," the professor's voice took on a strained quality, "perhaps you misunderstood the assignment. We asked for pets. Companion animals. Not death dealers." Jake looked genuinely confused. "But Duke is a companion animal. He's been humanity's best friend for over 15,000 years. A Quillan student named Pix raised a trembling appendage. 15,000 years. You've been living with these predators for 15,000 years. Well, technically we domesticated them even earlier than that, Jake explained, scratching Duke behind the ears. The dog's tail wagged, and several students flinched at the movement. Dogs were probably the first animals we ever domesticated. They helped us hunt, guarded our homes, protected our children. Some pulled sleds across frozen wastelands. Others herded our livestock. They've been with us through everything: wars, famines, the colonization of Mars, even the first jump to Alpha Centauri. But it's a predator," Korthax stammered. "Those teeth. Those claws. The muscular build designed for pursuing and taking down prey." "Oh, Duke's a sweetheart," Jake said. "Watch this. Duke, sit." The German shepherd immediately dropped into a sitting position, his attention fixed on Jake with absolute devotion. "Now shake." Duke lifted his paw, and Jake clasped it gently. The simple gesture of trust, a predator offering its primary weapon to a seemingly vulnerable human, sent ripples of disbelief through the classroom. Professor Zelthran's tentacles twitched nervously. "Human Morrison, please help us understand. Your species evolved alongside these creatures." "Not exactly alongside," Jake corrected. "We kind of made them what they are today. We took wolves, even more dangerous predators, and over thousands of years, we bred them for specific traits. Loyalty. Intelligence. The ability to understand human emotions and commands. Duke here can recognize over 200 different words and hand signals. You took apex predators and made them more intelligent." A Grenvik student's translator barely contained its speaker's alarm. "Sure. We needed partners, not just animals. Dogs can detect diseases in humans before our own medical equipment can. They can predict seizures, find people buried in rubble, detect explosives, track criminals across miles of terrain. Some dogs have saved hundreds of human lives." Jake pulled a small ball from his pocket. "Duke, you want to play fetch?" The transformation was instantaneous. The serious, alert military bearing dissolved into pure joy. Duke's tail wagged furiously, his mouth opened in what looked disturbingly like a grin, and a small whine of excitement escaped him. Jake threw the ball across the lecture hall. Duke exploded into motion, a blur of predatory grace and power that had several students crying out in alarm. But instead of attacking anyone, Duke simply retrieved the ball and returned to Jake, dropping it at his feet and looking up with absolute adoration. "Good boy," Jake praised, and Duke's entire body wiggled with happiness. Professor Zelthrin slowly approached, his fear gradually giving way to scientific curiosity. "This creature, it would die for you, wouldn't it?" "Probably," Jake admitted quietly. "There are countless stories of dogs protecting their humans against threats, even when it meant their own death. We have monuments dedicated to dogs who showed extraordinary courage and loyalty. One dog named Hachiko waited at a train station every day for 9 years after his owner died, hoping he'd come back. And humans do the same for these creatures?" Pix asked softly. "Absolutely. People have run into burning buildings to save their dogs. Spent their life savings on veterinary care. Dogs aren't just pets to us, they're family members. We grieve when they die. We celebrate their birthdays. We adjust our entire lives around their needs." The professor's tentacles had stopped twitching. "I begin to understand why humans are the way they are. You took creatures designed by nature to kill, and through patience, trust, and mutual respect, you turned them into companions. You saw potential for partnership in predators." Jake smiled. "We saw friends. And they saw the same in us." Duke, sensing the shift in the room's atmosphere, calmly walked to Professor Zelthrin and sat down, offering his paw. The professor, after a moment's hesitation, reached out a tentacle and gently touched it. "Remarkable," Zelthrin whispered. "Absolutely remarkable." As the class ended, students cautiously approached to meet Duke. By the time Jake left, the German Shepherd had made 24 new friends, and the galaxy had learned an important lesson about humanity. They didn't just survive alongside apex predators. They made them family.